My name is Emma, and I worked at fast food restaurants for several years during my teenage years and early 20s. I thought it would be a normal job, easy money, simple work. But I quickly learned that working in customer service put me in situations that I was not prepared for. Situations that taught me something very important about danger and about the kinds of people who hunt. Let me tell you about the first time I realized I was being targeted. I was 16 years old when I started working at Chick-fil-A. I needed my own money. I was tired of asking my parents for cash. So I applied to several places and Chick-fil-A hired me. At first, the job seemed perfect. I worked in the drive-thru line during the busy afternoon and evening shifts. I was good at it. I had a nice personality. People liked talking to me. But that is when he started coming. His name was Tyler. He was a friend of my father's. At first, I did not think anything of it. Lots of people came to Chick-fil-A every day. But Tyler was different. He came at the exact same time every single day. And he always came to my drive-thru line. Not the other one. Mine. He would order small things, a small fries, a small cookies and cream milkshake. Nothing that should take more than a minute. But he would always try to talk to me. Sometimes he would claim he forgot his debit card just so he could stay there longer, just so he could look at me. And he always called me Shell, which I hated. I had hated that nickname since I was a small child, but he kept using it, like he was trying to get under my skin, like he was testing me. The thing was, I had known Tyler for a long time. My father had brought him around the house before. And ever since I turned 13, he had started acting weird around me. He would say things like, I was growing up into a woman, that I looked like a young woman now. The kind of comments that made my skin crawl. There was one time when my family was having people over, friends and relatives. I needed to use the bathroom and I ran upstairs. I thought I had closed the door, but a few seconds later the door burst open. It was Tyler. He just stood there, staring at me, his eyes wide, his mouth slightly open, like he could not believe what he was seeing. Then he seemed to snap out of it. He straightened up real quick and said, "Sorry, my bad," and closed the door. But I knew what had happened. I knew what he had been doing. Months passed and Tyler kept coming to my drive-thru. Every single day, always the same time. Always my line. And the comments kept getting weirder, more inappropriate, more bold. Then came the night that everything changed. It was around 10:30 in the evening. We had closed the restaurant at 10, but we still had a few people inside cleaning up. There were about 5 or 6 of us there. I was mopping the floor when I noticed something. A car had pulled up to the drive-thru, but we had cones out. We had been closed for over an hour. You could not order anymore. The car did not turn around. Instead, it started driving around the parking lot, over and over, around and around, back and forth, like the driver was looking for something, or someone. I watched the car circle the building at least 10 times, maybe more, and I noticed something odd. It had temporary tags on it, brand new, the kind you get when you buy a car from a dealership. Finally, our manager went outside. He went up to the car because it kept stopping in front of one of our windows. He seemed concerned, like something was not right. I watched him walk over to the driver's side. He reached the window and it rolled down before he even got there. It was already open, waiting, and my stomach dropped. It was Tyler. He had a new car. I did not recognize it. But it was definitely him. And even with the window down, he never looked at my manager. He stared directly at me. The entire time my manager was talking to him, he just stared at me, like I was the only thing in the world that mattered. My manager walked back inside and told all of us to hurry up. He said we needed to leave. Now, I was the last person to finish my closing shift. By the time I was done, it was just me and my manager left in the building. Everyone else had gone home. My manager told me to make sure the doors were locked before I left. I told him, okay. I figured I would lock them after I used the bathroom. I needed to go before I left. So I went to the bathroom. I was on my phone like I always was. Just checking social media. Not really paying attention to much. Then the door opened. I thought it was weird because my manager is a guy. This was the women's bathroom. He would not come in here. I yelled out that he was an idiot. I told him he was in the wrong bathroom, but he never left. I could hear him standing there. I could hear him breathing, just breathing, outside my stall. Then I heard him shout something. Shell. It was not my manager's voice. Are you in here? The voice was deep and familiar. A voice I had heard 100 times before. A voice that now made me feel sick. It was Tyler. My heart started pounding. My hands started shaking. This was not possible. The door had been locked. My manager was out there. How had he gotten inside? I picked up my feet so he could not see them under the stall door. I was trying to be quiet, trying to be invisible. But Tyler started pushing on every stall door, calling my name, getting closer. I texted my manager. I just typed help. Bathroom. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely hit the keys. Tyler got to my stall. He started pushing on the door, trying to force it open, but I was pushing back. The lock was holding. I could hear him say my name again, Shell, like he was talking to me like a friend, like this was normal. And then he did something that made my blood run cold. He got down on his hands and knees. He reached his hand under the door, reaching for the lock, trying to unlock the stall from the outside. I kicked his arm. I kicked it as hard as I could, and he pulled back. But then he said something that made me realize how serious this was. It is me, Uncle Tyler. Like that was supposed to make me feel better. Like that was supposed to make me let him in. And then he started to crawl under the door. I did not think. I just acted. I climbed up on the toilet. I climbed above the stall. I was trying to get away, trying to create distance between us. That is when I heard the bathroom door burst open. It was my manager. He saw what was happening. He saw Tyler trying to crawl under the stall. He saw me up on the toilet, and he immediately went into action. My manager tackled Tyler. He pulled him back. He started fighting with him. They struggled on the bathroom floor while I was screaming and crying on top of the toilet. I called the police while they were fighting. I was still screaming, still terrified, but I managed to dial 911 and scream for help. Within minutes, the police arrived. They pulled my manager and Tyler apart. Tyler was on the ground. He was bleeding. He was barely conscious. My manager had fought hard. He had protected me. The police cuffed Tyler and loaded him into an ambulance. He was arrested. He was charged with several crimes: stalking, attempted assault, breaking and entering, attempted kidnapping. But here is the thing that still bothers me. Years later, he was released from jail. He did not serve that much time. And I know he is still out there somewhere. That experience changed me forever. It made me hyper-aware of my surroundings. It made me understand that danger does not always look like danger. Sometimes it looks like a family friend. Sometimes it wears a familiar face. But that was not the only time I experienced something terrifying at a fast food restaurant. Years later, I was working at a different Chick-fil-A. This one was in a bad neighborhood, a really bad neighborhood. I had transferred there and I was working the closing shift. It was Halloween night in 2012. The restaurant was packed all afternoon and evening. Hundreds of people came through in costumes. The typical Halloween costumes: Jason, Freddy Krueger, Michael Myers, and of course, multiple Ghostface costumes from the movie Scream. At around 7:30 in the evening, things got busy inside the restaurant. Really busy. There was a long line of people waiting to order. My manager came out of the back to help manage the crowd. That is when things started to go wrong. There was commotion, yelling, screaming. My manager came out to break it up. When he got there, he saw a guy in a ghost face costume had grabbed a little girl, a 7-year-old girl. The man had told the girl that her mother wanted her to wait in his car. He had grabbed her and started pulling her toward the door. But the girl's mother saw what was happening. She started screaming. She started yelling for help. A bunch of people got involved, and the man in the ghost face costume ran out of the restaurant. He got into a fight with a woman who was dressed as Meg from Family Guy, but he managed to get away. He ran to his car and disappeared. The police came and took statements, but by that time he was gone. We locked down the restaurant. We were all shaken up. The staff was upset. We did not know if he would come back. And then, a few hours later, just as we were getting ready to close, someone knocked on the drive-thru window. I was working the drive-thru that night, and when I looked, I saw him. He was wearing the ghost face costume again. I did not know if it was the same guy from earlier, but something about him felt wrong, felt dangerous. I yelled out that we were closed. We were not taking any more orders. But instead of leaving, the guy tried to bust through the drive-thru window. He was trying to break the glass, trying to get inside. I screamed. I screamed loud. My manager ran out to see what was happening. The man ran to the front door. He started banging on it. Hard, over and over, banging with his fists, banging with his shoulders, trying to get inside. Then he just stopped. He stared at us, through the glass, just staring, not saying anything, not moving, just staring. At that point, it was just my manager and me left in the restaurant. Everyone else had gone home. It was just the two of us and this guy in a ghost face mask. My manager called the police, and the man left. He walked back to his car, but he did not drive away. He walked around to his trunk. He opened it up. He reached in and pulled something out. He put it under his costume, and then he walked back to the front door. He stared at us again for about 30 seconds, just staring, not moving, just standing there. Then his hand came out from under his costume. He was holding a gun. My manager and I both screamed. We both ducked down behind the counter. I thought this was it. I thought I was about to be shot. He aimed the gun at the window, at us, and he pulled the trigger. Nothing happened. The gun did not fire. We looked up. He was fumbling with the weapon, loading it, unloading it, reloading it. The gun had jammed. It would not fire. And that is when the police showed up. A police car pulled into the parking lot with lights and sirens blaring. The officer got out with his gun drawn. He yelled at the man to get on the ground. For a second, I thought the man was going to run, but he did not. He got on the ground. He put his hands behind his head, and he let the police cuff him. We found out later that this guy had a huge rap sheet. He was a dangerous criminal. He had assaulted people before. He had attempted robbery. He had a history of violence, and he had almost killed us. If that gun had not jammed, if the police had been even 1 minute later, if we had not been careful, we might not be here. After that night, I quit. I could not work there anymore. That neighborhood was too dangerous. That job was too risky. I needed to get out. But even after I left, I kept having experiences that made me realize how many predators are out there. How many people are hunting. How many people see fast food workers as easy targets. About a year after that incident, I was living in my car. I had fallen on hard times. I was homeless. But I would post up outside of fast food restaurants because people would give me their change, or give me food they had just purchased. One day I posted up outside a Chick-fil-A in a shopping plaza. It was a busy location. Lots of foot traffic. Lots of people. And lots of people who felt sympathetic to a homeless person. Throughout the day, I received a few dollars. And a lot of chicken nuggets. I was grateful. I was surviving. But then I noticed something odd. There was a car in the Chick-fil-A parking lot. It had covered license plates, and every few hours it would leave, but then it would come back and park again. And the driver never got out of the car. At first, I did not think much of it, but as the day went on, I started paying attention. I started watching the car. I started noticing patterns. The same car, the same person, over and over, coming back again and again, never getting out, never ordering anything, just sitting there, watching. Around 8 in the evening, most of the plaza started closing up. Traffic slowed down. It was quieter, less busy. And that is when the man got out of the car. He walked up to the Chick-fil-A door, and he took a picture. He held his phone up to the window, and he took a picture of the inside of the restaurant. A few seconds later, what looked like the manager came outside. She seemed to be arguing with him. She was upset about something. She went back inside, and the man got back in his car. He got on his phone, and then he left. I was about 25 feet away from the Chick-fil-A parking lot. I could see everything, and something felt very wrong about that interaction. A few hours went by. The place closed up. It looked like the employees were cleaning the restaurant, getting ready to leave. I was trying to fall asleep in my car when I saw that same car pull back into the parking lot. My stomach sank. There were 2 cars left in the parking lot now. The Chick-fil-A was almost empty. Most of the employees had already left. The only person I could see inside was the woman who had been arguing with the man earlier. The man got out of his car. He was wearing dark colors now, dark pants, dark jacket, and he was wearing gloves. And I watched as the lights inside the Chick-fil-A got turned off. The man was standing on the side of the building, by a dumpster, in the shadows, waiting. I leaned my seat all the way back. I did not want him to see me. I was scared. I was confused. But I knew something bad was about to happen. The woman walked out. She turned around and she began to lock the door. But before she could finish, the man sprinted toward her. He yanked her hair, he grabbed her from behind, and he started dragging her back inside. I wanted to call the police, but I was paralyzed. I was terrified. I was frozen in my car, unable to move. For about 10 minutes, nothing happened. I just sat there, waiting, terrified. Then the man came back outside. He went straight to his car, he opened the trunk, and he went back inside the restaurant. A few minutes later, I saw something that I will never forget as long as I live. The man came out of the restaurant dragging something. It was the woman's body, but there was no head. I realized at that moment what I was witnessing. I was witnessing a murder. I was watching a man dispose of a body. He struggled to fit her into the trunk. Her body was limp, lifeless. He had to fold her. He had to push her. But eventually he got her inside. He went back into the restaurant. He came back out with the Chick-fil-A bag. It was full of something I did not want to think about. He threw the bag into the trunk. Then he went back inside for what seemed like 20 minutes. When he finally came back out, he locked up the Chick-fil-A. He got in his car, and he drove away. I sat in my car for hours that night, frozen, unable to move, unable to process what I had just seen. A few days later, I went to a Starbucks to use the restroom, and on the news I saw a story about a missing woman. It was her, the woman from the Chick-fil-A. The news was interviewing her husband. He was crying. He was heartbroken. He was begging for information about where his wife had gone. And I recognized him. It was the man from that night. He was on the news pretending to be a grieving spouse, pretending he did not know what had happened to her, pretending he was innocent. But I knew the truth. I knew what he had done. I called the police and I told them what I had seen. I gave them a description of the man. I told them about the car. I told them about the night. But because I was homeless and living in my car, the police did not take me seriously at first. It took weeks before they even investigated the location. By then, the man had had plenty of time to cover his tracks. Eventually, he was arrested. Eventually, he was convicted. But it took my testimony. It took the evidence I provided. It took me coming forward despite being terrified. That woman was murdered because of a predator, because of a man who thought he could get away with it. And I was the only witness. Working at fast food restaurants taught me something very important. It taught me that danger is everywhere. It taught me that predators hunt, and they look for easy targets. Fast food workers are easy targets. We work late nights. We work alone or in small groups. We are young. We are vulnerable. We are distracted. I have seen things that most people will never see. I have been targeted. I have witnessed violence. I have come close to being killed. And it all happened while I was just trying to make money, while I was just trying to work a job. So if you are considering working at a fast food restaurant, be careful. Pay attention to your surroundings. Trust your instincts, and never stay alone after closing, because the predators are out there, and they are hunting, and sometimes they wear a familiar face. Sometimes they come back again and again, and sometimes they are bold enough to try something when there are witnesses around. The ones I worked with were caught. They are in jail or they have been released back into society. But I still think about them. I still have nightmares. I still jump when someone comes up behind me because I know what people are capable of. And I know how close I came to being just another statistic, just another missing person, just another unsolved case. just another victim.